Okay, hi guys. So good morning, Gaurav from Networkings. So Sanjay sir, some of the people are not new in this batch. So what we
Okay.
have to do, introduction is not required. Just a small introduction is required, and we have to start from the day one. So guys,
Okay.
Anup is not able to continue with the batch due to some office work. So Sanjay sir is gonna continue from day one. Whatever you learn, we are gonna repeat from the day one. Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and
Yep.
welcome to the class of AWS Cloud Computing. In this session, we are going to start AWS Cloud Computing from scratch, from the very beginning. And you might have heard about name of AWS. Now, AWS is a popular name. It's a cloud computing platform, and it stands for Amazon Web Services. As you know, cloud computing is for every use these days, right? And all major companies either migrated their workloads over AWS or they are in a process to do so. So such kind of changes are being seen because of advantages of cloud computing. We will discuss about advantages of cloud computing later on. And one thing is very clear: cloud computing is now necessary for every new professional or every IT professional or people somehow connected with cloud computing services. So nowadays, cloud computing is being used almost in every field. If you're talking about education, IT infrastructure, software development, e-commerce, entertainment industry, medical field, research and development, and many other fields we can mention. Okay, and we also finding the use of this cloud computing in artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have number of services we are using, and these services are using artificial intelligence logics. So we will talk about all those things. So first of all, I will not take much time here. A very small and brief introduction about myself. My name is Sanjay Sharma, and I'm the trainer of this training. And I have more than 20 years of experience in the field of corporate training, project management, business operation, in content development, and as a subject matter of expert, right? And I'm working as a subject matter of expert with some reputed companies. Okay, I'm AWS certified, and beside is AWS, I'm giving my trainings in ethical hacking, cybersecurity, even Linux and data center virtualization. But these days, I'm just concentrating on AWS only. So I will not take much time. So we have to start with, what is cloud computing? So I think many of you are new for cloud computing. So you just let me know because you joined the session. Please just write on meeting chat. How many of you are new for cloud computing? You can say me so that I can understand from where we have to start. Okay, great. And Pavitra. Okay, nice. So no issue. First of all, I want to give some examples of cloud computing. What is the cloud computing and uh, how it is different from your on-prem environment. So generally, we used to actually create private data centers, right? But that time has gone because if you are creating your private data center, you have to purchase, first of all compute resources like hardware or computers, racks, you're going to say network devices, connectivity, everything you have to create and you have to purchase and you have to manage. And it was really expensive, right? But that time has gone because now we have multiple cloud computing platform. So some cloud computing platforms are very popular, like AWS, Azure, and GCP. AWS is no doubt it's the oldest one, and this is the biggest one. If you're talking about AWS global infrastructure, so AWS global infrastructure is almost spanned in 245 countries and territories. We have 30 regions as of now in this cloud computing platform and more than 96 availability zones. I will talk about, I will explain later on what is availability zone, what are the regions, what are edge locations. That is a part of AWS global infrastructure. But before that, what is a cloud computing? You know, because all these data centers are managed by AWS, right? So we don't have direct access to these data centers. So we can use services available or provided by AWS, and then we create our infrastructure on AWS. Like we have a service EC2. We are using EC2 service to create and manage servers. We are using service called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. We are using this service to create a network. We have a storage services. We have database services. For every purpose in AWS, we have services. That's why I was telling you in the beginning, we have more than 200 services, right? We have more than 200 services. And if you're talking about major and minor services, more than 1,500 services we have in AWS. So this is very difficult to learn by one person to means learn by one person everything. So you have to choose your vertical, because when you start your journey in AWS, so this is the first AWS certification, AWS Solution Architect Associate level, right? We have a one more certification that comes uh, before that, called AWS Practitioner. But in India, we don't start with the practitioner, because the practitioner is a very basic level of certification in AWS. So if you start with AWS Solution Architect Associate level, it means you have a very good chances to grab a job in industry. So this is a job oriented course, number one. So guys, first of all, what is a cloud computing? As in the beginning, I told you, all data centers and services are managed by AWS, and we are using services to create our infrastructure. And any yeah, if we are using any feature of cloud computing, so in that case, we have to choose a specific service. So in the easiest term, cloud computing defines storing and accessing data and programs over internet from a remote location. Or in another word, we can say cloud computing term used for delivery of hosted services internet. Over the internet means, if you are using cloud computing, so common feature is internet. So the common technology you are using internet. Without internet, you cannot access public cloud computing platform. So if you are using AWS, if you are using GCP or Azure, internet is required, because through the internet you are accessing this platform. And one more important thing, you must have account on these platforms. If I'm talking about AWS, you must have a free tier account to just practice on it. For hands-on, you must have a free tier account. So how many of you have free tier account? Just say yes or no in meeting chat. Yes, good. This is a really good news. Thanks everyone. So you all people have AWS free tier account. So in AWS free tier account, you will get access on all services. Some services are free of cost, some services are on trial, and some services are on a paid basis, right? So most of the services are available free of cost, but with some limitation or with some cap. So delivery of hosted services over the internet is known as cloud computing. So means whatever you are using, whatever the service you are using, whatever the resource you are creating, so it means you must have internet connectivity. And it is based on pay as you go pricing model. As per pay as you go pricing model, AWS's charges on per hour basis. Let's say if you create a resource, if you create a machine for and you run that machine for 2 hours, AWS will charge only for those 2 hours. Now this way you can control billing amount, and if services are not required, you can stop your resources anytime. There is no such limitation. So you can stop your resources anytime. If you stop your resources, AWS will not charge for those resources. Let's say you have 10 instances. Instances means, whenever I say instance means it's a virtual machine. Because on cloud computing, we will create virtual machines, and the virtual machines are known as instances in AWS. So we will see all these things in detail later on. But in order to start, what is a cloud computing and what are the hosted services? Because generally you see hosted services in your data center. So cloud computing is a type of internet-based computing where you can deliver IT infrastructure and software application related services. However, before arrival of cloud computing, you used to deliver software application services from your own physical environment, or you can say from your own data center. But now you are using through cloud computing environment. Therefore, we can see the two type of services we have. One is a hosted services, another is a cloud services. So first of all, just talk about the hosted services. So in this particular technology, you configure and maintain infrastructure and software application in your own data center or in your own environment or at service provider premises. And access of these services to your end user are often provided through a direct connection. So in that case, if you are using hosted services, in the hosted services, internet connection was not mandatory earlier. Okay, so that's why definitely you have your own data center, you are providing your solutions through infrastructure or software application to your client. But in that case, the direct connectivity was required. Now, if you're talking about cloud services, in such platforms, you do not require any physical server. You do not require any infrastructure at your end to run applications. So cloud computing serves you a simple way of access of servers, databases, storages, and other set of application services over the internet. In brief, you can say that hosted services over the internet is known as cloud computing. Now we have number of benefits. Let me talk about number of benefits. I will not take much time because this is a total practical oriented course. So we will learn number of services and everything is basically based on use cases and hands-on. But before starting, services, before we are just going jump into AWS, we need to understand what are the benefits of cloud computing. So today we see number of cloud computing platform like AWS, GCP, Azure, even small, medium, and large scale companies find some significant benefits to switch on cloud because of its less cost, high availability, and easy deployment of services. One thing is very clear because if you are a company and you need to create infrastructure over the cloud, it means one thing is very clear, you have not to manage your data center. Who will manage data center? AWS will manage data center, right? Now, remember the cloud computing is not a single piece of technology, and hence we can't limit its benefit. In coming topics, we would see the different kind of cloud computing, or maybe we can discuss about what is software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. But those things definitely we will discuss about. The almost every organization needs to use cloud computing benefits either partially or fully. And according to one survey, we have a very good scope in cloud computing. So this particular market, cloud computing market, can touch more than $200 billion. Now, big player like Amazon, Intel, Microsoft, HP, Alibaba, all these cloud computing giants, these are making huge investment in cloud computing. And Amazon Web Service is a public cloud computing platform, and they are based on pay as you go pricing model. So first of all, I will talk about the benefits of cloud computing. So the very first, I'm taking flexibility. What is the flexibility? You just understand what is the flexibility, because if you're talking about the flexibility, it could be a hardware flexibility, it could be your software flexibility, it could be selection flexibility. So I'm talking about all these flexibilities one by one. So let's say the cloud computing is the best for businesses where you see a regular change in resource requirement or fluctuating bandwidth of demand. So according to resources, or accordingly the resources can be scaled up or scaled down. What is the meaning of the scale up or scale down? Let's say you have one application or e-commerce application that you are running, and on that particular application the traffic is gradually increasing or maybe suddenly increasing, right? So if incoming traffic is increasing, definitely that server will have load, and you need a more server to distribute the load. So in cloud computing environment, you can apply one technology called auto scaling. If you apply auto scaling, so number of machines can be increased in a few minutes or in a few seconds to handle that particular load. So you can increase or decrease number of servers to handle the load. But some knowledge of cloud computing is required, how to configure that auto scaling in that, right? So we have a one feature, or we have one service called uh, auto scaling. So by using auto scaling, you can scale up or scale down your number of servers as per the condition or as per the increasing or decreasing load. In addition, AWS also enables you to select the resources of your choice. For example, in AWS, we have no limitation. If you want, you can select any operating system for your server. You can select Mac operating system, Linux operating system, Windows operating system. You can select any operating system. There is no such restriction. Even you can select any programming language if you are a developer, and if you want to develop an application using a specific language. So all languages supports are there. So all popular languages supports are there. So for example, you can select Node.js, Java, Python, Go, Ruby. You can select any language that you want to choose. And not only this, even if you're talking about the databases, we have different kind of databases here. So the majorly we have three categories. One is RDBMS, second is no SQL database, and third is in-memory caching service. And not only this, if you want, you can create your data warehouse in cloud computing environment. So you have complete flexibility. So means it depend on your project, it depend on your business. So what kind of infrastructure you want to create, what kind of a database, what kind of a storage, what kind of an operating system, what kind of a programming language you want to choose. There is no such restrictions. You can choose anything, or any combination of these things you can choose. And web application platform, if I'm talking about, you can choose even any web application platform and other services that you require. So you can say we have a complete agility and a flexibility in AWS. There is no such restrictions. Let's say I'm talking about reduced and capital expenditure. I'm talking about the cost, right? I'm talking about the cost to run infrastructure in AWS. You just think about your old and traditional way to run IT services, right? Just talk about your earlier days. We used to require servers, storages, routers, switches, cables, database servers, and many others, right? And overall cost of that infrastructure was too high. And to cut down the cost of that existing physical infrastructure, cloud provides an excellent opportunity. And you can now choose AWS services, which simply based on pay as you go pricing model. So instead of heavy investment on your hardware and on softwares, cloud computing provides resources on AWS cloud, and you can configure them as per your requirement, as per your project need, and you can deliver to your end users. So means whatever you require for your project, you have a resources on AWS to create. And if you do not want to continue with those resources, you can stop those resources to control capital expenditure. So you have full control in your hand, right? So I will talk about, because even if you create a servers in AWS, we have different purchase options. We have a different server purchase options. So we can create servers on demand basis, we can create servers on reserved basis, we can create servers on dedicated reserved instances or servers. We have multiple options over there. I will talk about all those because we have a long list of purchase options. So by the way, you can control capital expenditure if you're working on cloud computing. Now, the next thing I'm taking is software updates. Do you know what is a software update? So I think you all people are using your laptops, and in your laptops you will have Windows operating system or any other operating system like Ubuntu or any other Linux flavor operating system. So you might have seen that operating system generally ask you to update your operating system time to time. Let's say on every 15 days or every end of week, you will find a kind of message on your laptop, so that ask you to upgrade your operating system, which is known as a software update. Similarly, AWS is now offer patch management capability, which is a part of system manager service in AWS. What is a patching management? Patching management means with the patch management capability, you can automate your patching process. Patching means how to update your existing operating system or any application that you run on your server. So this feature saves your time and reduces the risk of non-compliance. And time to time, what happen actually, supplier of these softwares find some vulnerabilities in their operating system or in their applications, and to handle such vulnerabilities or risk, which can be a cause of security threat, and to fix them you need to update your operating system or applications. And this feature in AWS is absolutely free of cost. And wonderful thing is this: to update your servers in AWS, you have not to manage any repository server. Earlier, we used to manage repository servers to upgrade our system in our own data center. But such kind of things are not required now. And it is absolutely free of cost. Now, the next thing is stop guessing capacity. What is the meaning of the stop guessing capacity? You might have seen that when you start any project in your company, you always calculate or anticipate how many number of servers are required in future. Let's say even if you are going to apply load balancing in your infrastructure, and if you're planning to apply load balancing or auto scaling in your infrastructure, so you always calculate how many numbers of servers will require in future. But such kind of calculation in AWS is not required, right? This is very, very important. So when you decide to run application over the cloud, you design an infrastructure as per the need. And at the time of designing, you either end up sitting on expensive resources or dealing with limited capacity. But if you are working on cloud computing, you don't see such challenges, because the cloud computing allows you to tune the infrastructure as per the requirement immediately. If you need 10 machines, you can easily upgrade your infrastructure, or you can scale out your infrastructure, right? It means you will define minimum and maximum capacity of the resources which is required for your infrastructure. So you can apply auto scaling, and in auto scaling you can mention minimum and maximum capacity of the group. So you have not to purchase any server in advance in cloud computing environment, right? So this is the advantage. So you have not to invest unnecessarily to purchase your servers in advance. That is not needed in cloud computing. And second is data accessibility. I'm talking about the storages here. So definitely you are storing your data in storages. So in AWS, we have a three different kind of storages. One is a object storage, another is a block storage, and third is network attached storage, right? We will talk about all these things in detail, and we will do practical on each and every concept. This is going to be a very vital course. So data accessibility over cloud is easy, it's a cheaper, and it is highly available for our business teams. Now, next is security, because the people are curious about security when they work on cloud computing. But I will say, if you have a proper knowledge about security services, you can apply security services to secure your environment, whether it is a server, whether it is an application, whether it is a network. So you can access your data stored over cloud using internet connection from anywhere, number one. Number two, cloud computing security is on high priority for cloud computing providers. And this include protection of critical information from data leakage, deletion, and theft. And feature like data encryption are also available on the cloud. You can encrypt your data while it is on rest or during the transition. So on both cases, you can apply encryption. So we have a special services in AWS for key management. And with the help of key, you can encrypt your data. And next advantage that I see is, let's say, disaster recovery. So disaster recovery is a method or a strategy to take backup of cloud resources, including data, and later on it can be recovered. So this provides the data recovery and backup strategy, which is happened due to man-made or natural catastrophe. AWS provides the services that enables fast recovery of configured IT infrastructure and data. So in easy way, in a layman language, let me just explain you one simple scenario. Let's say you store your data in Mumbai region. Mumbai is in India. And you know that basically the disaster can appear because of any reason. There should not be a specific reason, but the disaster can be expected. So let's say because of any technical reason or non-technical reason or some natural reason, let's say Mumbai is not available, for example. So what will happen to your data? Definitely the data will not be available if you are not replicating your data to another region. Because in AWS, we have multiple regions. Like Hyderabad also is a one region now in India. In India now we have two regions. One is a Mumbai, another is a Hyderabad. Similarly, we have a Tokyo, Singapore, Sydney, Milan, London, North Virginia, Ohio. So we have this way 30 different regions in AWS global infrastructure. And this is a good practice if your business is really critical. Data is a very important for you people. So it's a good practice to replicate your data from one region to another region. So even if one region, because of any cause, if it is not available, so you can access the same data from another region, right? So we will learn how to create actually replicated data, or how you can replicate your data from one region to another region as well. And this also is a part of disaster recovery. Not only this, you can also uh, replicate your infrastructure from one region to another region, right? This can also be managed if you are really dealing with very critical servers, and you cannot bear even a single second downtime. So it's a good practice to just manage your servers even in a different region. right? So we have a cross-region load balancing available. So in this kind of a technology, you can create your server in a different region to distribute the load. And if one region is not available, your client will have access on the same server through the second region as well. Okay, so we will talk about this later, but this is very easily available. So these things cannot be available if you are maintaining your own data center, because that your own data center will definitely cost you, right? Next is competitiveness. Yeah, since cloud computing came in picture, so everyone, whether he's a small businessman, is a new startup, uh, or or maybe the company is a well-established company, everyone is using cloud computing, and everybody can create infrastructure as per their requirement. And investment is not a big thing, because you are not going to purchase anything, you are not going to create your own data center, because everything is rented over there. So if you are creating machine, you will pay the rent of that machine. If you are using storage, you will pay for the consume resources, or consume storage space. So when you run a business, understand the product of the business is an ultimate goal. Let's say you are a pharmaceutical company. Just understand what is important for you. Medicines are important for you. You would like to create quality medicines, right? And you want to increase the number of product that you are just manufacturing in your company. So business houses needs to put all their efforts to maintain quality and production number of the product. That's why AWS says you just focus on your product, you just focus on your project, and do not put heavy efforts to manage IT infrastructure, because all IT infrastructure on cloud computing environment will be maintained by cloud computing provider like AWS. So on cloud, you do not require heavy lifting of racks, servers, and other resources. Definitely you don't. You have not to buy, you have not to manage all those things. So infrastructure, softwares, and platforms are just few clicks away on the cloud. And it is easy to use for everyone. And you will have better experience and low latency resources. So we can say that in brief, the cloud computing allows even smaller businesses to act faster than big and established competitors. So anybody now can create infrastructure on cloud computing environment, right? So maybe this, if you have just started your business and you have a very limited budget, so even you can also manage your infrastructure according to your budget. So every project will have uh, its budget. So according to budget, you can manage your resources. Correct or not? So now we have a sharp competition among all the companies, whether they are big companies or they are small companies, because now they don't have a challenge to create and manage their own data center, because all these things are available on cloud computing. And these services are available in a similar fashion, or on a similar level to everyone. So this is what we just tried to explain you. And guys, I'm just going to explain you about very basic stuff. I will show you practically how to launch an instance, or how to launch a server on AWS environment. I'm not starting any service right now. So these are the topics. In the beginning, I'm just going to start. I hope we can cover all these topics this weekend. The first was the benefit of cloud computing. Then I'm just going to start what is uh, means why AWS and what is AWS, because AWS is a cloud computing platform. So we need to understand, because we have many cloud computing environment. Just a minute, guys. Okay, we have many cloud computing environments. So why we are just going to select AWS? There must be some specific reason about it. The first of all, AWS is the world's most comprehensive and broadly used cloud platform. And AWS has the biggest global infrastructure. The presence of AWS is biggest on this globe. And AWS is offering more than 200 services, right? And if you're talking about major and minor services, we have more than 1,500 services in AWS cloud platform. AWS has millions of customers, including new startups, largest enterprises, and leading government agencies. AWS is trusted over 1 million customers of all types. People trust AWS, right? People trust AWS, and trust is a very important thing. If you trust on a specific product, so people trust AWS infrastructure because it is more agile, it is more available with the lowest cost, right? So why AWS? That also is a very important. The question rises, why you have selected AWS? Why to use AWS cloud computing platform? We identified some factors on which it takes technological and commercial advantages. For example, I'm talking about cloud infrastructure because these are the few things that I did right here. Why AWS? First of all, it has a more than 200 fully featured services. Total, if you're talking about the major and minor services, more than 1,500 services are there. It is more agile, and it has 30 live regions, more than 96 availability zones, more than 410 edge locations. So maybe these words are new for you because you are attending this cloud computing class very first time. But in my next lecture, I will tell you what is the AWS global infrastructure. In AWS global infrastructure, you will study about regions, availability zones, edge locations, and direct connect, right? Because all these are part of AWS global infrastructure. Okay, so infrastructure is really wide. It is more agile. It has a scalability. It has improved reliability. It available at low cost. It has flexibility to expand operation. You find everything in AWS, right? And the most important feature that I have noticed, because AWS was the first who offered free tier account, right? AWS was the first who offered the free tier account. In the beginning, actually, people had no idea what is AWS. And therefore, AWS allows to create a free tier account. And with a few simple steps, you can register your AWS free tier account, and which is available for one entire year. It allows us to gain hands-on experience with AWS platform, with AWS product, and with AWS services, free of cost. But of course, some limitations are there, right? Because those limitations are really necessary because we are learning on AWS cloud platform. So we are not allowed to create very big servers that you usually see in your production environment. That definitely such kind of servers are not required in free tier account. But we have some limitations. So I will tell you, because every service has a limitation in free tier account. So I will show you what limitations are there. Second, the most important uh, advantage why you are using AWS, because of its performance. Performance. What is the performance? Actually, in AWS data center, AWS is using Xeon class uh, microprocessors. Xeon is a Intel microprocessors, and these are very high performing microprocessors. So if you create any virtual machine on AWS, so ultimately you are using Xeon class performance on those servers. So, and those servers will be very fast and very efficient, number one. So this is the one advantage. The performance of servers are very efficient, and its performance is far better than the most of your private data centers. In addition, AWS provides multiple availability zones per region to maintain high availability. In every region in AWS global infrastructure, in every region you have multiple availability zones. So availability zone basically is a group of data center. I will explain you what is availability zone and what are the data center, and how actually virtualization is used in data center. I will tell you everything, but I'm talking about the performance. So performance wise, AWS is far better as compared to your data center. And next is deployment speed. What is the deployment speed? The deployment speed means how much time your machine will take to provision, or how much time your application will take to install on servers. So if you're talking about the deployment speed in AWS, deployment speed is high as compared to your data center. In traditional way, usually you take number of hours to provision a server in your data center. But the same task, if the same server, if you deploy in AWS, you can finish that task in a few minutes. You can't believe. Few minutes means you can provision one server in AWS in a less than 1 minute. It's incredible. You have not to wait for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or 1 hour. No, immediately within a 1 minute, your machine will be provisioned. And we will study in detail everything. We will see how much time it will take to provision your machine, and how to use template to create machine or network as per your business requirement. So these are some advantages. And the most important advantage that I see is security. AWS is providing security on every layer, whether we are talking about services, we are talking about servers, we are talking about the AWS network. So all these are well secured, right? So AWS services, AWS virtual machines, and AWS network and storages are well secured. And access to these resources can be restricted using IAM. What is the IAM? IAM basically is a identity and access management service in AWS. So with the help of IAM service, you can create users, groups, roles, and permission, and you can manage all these identities, and all these things we will study in detail. So AWS also allows you to secure AWS infrastructure. So you can secure your resources using DDoS mitigation. What is a DDoS mitigation? So DDoS mitigation means distributed denial of service. This is a kind of a attack normally attackers do on your infrastructure. So AWS security system allows you to protect your infrastructure, allows you to protect your application from such attacks. So data encryption also is allowed for various services. Let's say you want to encrypt your storage, or if you want to encrypt your application for transit data, so it is available in AWS. And other number of options are also available for security, such as you can do monitoring easily, you can do logging, penetration testing, identity and access control. So all these are easily available on AWS. And we will study a few things in detail, definitely, because security in AWS solution architect, we will touch some services, but security is a different vertical. Everybody understand. And in AWS, we have a separate security specialty certification. Okay. So guys, we all talked about now why need to choose AWS. So I did right here. Next is, let me just talk about AWS Management Console. Right. What is the AWS Management Console? So let's say when I just log in into my account. So I have to log in into my account first of all. So this is my registered email ID. Azizullah. Yes, Azizullah. Does banking sector opt AWS? Not AWS. You should have written, does banking sector opt cloud computing? I think this is the right sentence you should have written, right? See, financial organizations, like Citibank or any Indian bank, if you're talking about. So these have their own infrastructure. They have their own cloud system, and what they feel means no one should outside come inside their infrastructure. So as of now, they are maintaining their own infrastructure. They don't have any plan worldwide. I'm not talking about only India. I'm not talking about only Citibank. I'm not talking about only international banks. So every international bank, if you're talking about, they having their own data centers. They have their own infrastructure, right? So if you know the background of computerization, so in the beginning, even when the computerization came, so they used to actually maintain both books as well as the computerized system. So, it took almost 20 years time to switch completely on computers. So they are not in hurry actually. They know, they do understand uh, the pros and cons of cloud computing. But right now they are capable to maintain their own infrastructure, their own. So that's why they are not in a hurry to opt cloud computing environment. But definitely in coming years, if you're talking about 2030, by the end of 2030, they have plan to switch on cloud computing. Correct?
Yes, correct. That's what the question was. Actually, even we, even for small configuration, it takes a month-wise to do when it comes to banking sector. That's why the question was, if
right,
are they ready?
Now what AWS is doing, AWS is creating some separate data center for such institutions. Just understand. Now in AWS, we have local zones. So maybe in future, all these cloud computing environment or all these cloud computing platforms, definitely they will have some specific global infrastructure for such institutions. And this will be separate from, public interface. So they will not provide any public interface. So means should be, I think, isolated, because it is pertaining to money matters, or it is pertaining to financial transactions. Is it clear? So
I'm clear. Yeah.
That's why they are not in hurry.
Thanks.
Okay. Now let's say I'm just going to just log in into that password, and we have multi-factor authentication. My account is MFA enabled. Yeah. So this is the very first screen when you log in into your AWS account. And this is called AWS Management Console. We used to call it AWS Management Console, but now it is Console Home. They have changed the name as well. Now it is not AWS Management Console. This is a Console Home. This is the home page of your AWS. This is the very first page of the AWS. So what is important on this page? The very important on this page is to understand about this black strip. Can you see this black strip on the top? So very left hand side on the top, we have AWS logo. If you click on this AWS logo, you will always land on first page of this website or of this portal. You will land on this portal, very first page of this portal. So this is the home page. Let's say you were there in the middle of something. For example, you were there somewhere here. Let me just do it. Yes, let's say you were somewhere here and suddenly you decided to reach on your console home. So you will click on this AWS logo, which is available left hand side on the top. So as you click on this AWS logo, you will reach console home immediately. Number one. Second is we have a option for services. If you click on this option of services, you have number of services available. These are the services available, like analytics. These not the services, these are the group of services. Analytics is a group of services. Application integration, it's a group of services. Compute, it's a group of services. Database, it's a group of services. And if you talk about, let's say I'm going down very last, storage, it's a group of services. If you click on, let's say, storage, right hand side, you can see number of services that you have in storages, right? You have in a storage group like AWS backup, EFS, Elastic Disaster Recovery, FSX, S3, Glacier, Storage Gateway. Let's say I'm talking about network and content delivery. If you click on networking and content delivery group, these are services. Each and every single name is a service. Just understand. Next is we have compute. In the compute, we have services like AWS App Runner, Batch, EC2, EC2 Image Builder, Elastic Beanstalk, Lambda, Lightsail. These are the services, right? Okay. And next to these services option, we have a search box. What you can search? What you can search? This is very important. The search box is there. Are this is only to search services? No, definitely you can search services, but many other things rather than the services you can search. For example, you write EC2 here. So EC2 is a service name. Of course, the first of all, it is talking about EC2 related services like EC2, EC2 Image Builder, Amazon Inspector, and AWS Firewall Manager. And if you go a little down, now the second thing that you will search through this EC2 keyword is features of EC2 like dashboard, limits, AMIs, and elastic IP. I will talk about all these concepts, what is AMI, what is elastic IP address, but these are the features. And total 51 results you have if you type EC2 here under the features. Now we have some resources also. Introduction to resource search. Go to resource explorer. If you click on resource explorer, let's say I click on resource explorer, you will come back and this is a resource explorer, and you can turn the resource explorer, this is additional thing that you see. So resource explorer to efficiently search for and discover your resources across AWS region. If you want to search any resource, you can use a research explorer, right? And I think this is not uh, there is no setup fees or upfront commitment. So we'll talk about this resource explorer later on. We are going back. Let's say you chose EC2. Yeah, I was here. And after that, you can find EC2 related blogs, and more than 1,800 blogs are there on only EC2. And all these blogs are really important. If you click on EC2 blogs, can you see? These are the blogs. These are some popular blogs. You can see, and each blog has its own topic, on heading, like EC2 image builder, container images locally. Then we have EC2 DL1 instance deep dive. So these are the blogs. If you want to learn more deeply, this is not for certification, just understand. But if you are working in some environment or in production environment and you need a more, more precise information about specific service, so you have multiple ways. But for that, you must have a good idea about, uh, this AWS environment. Then only you will get some benefit of searching blogs and all. Now we have a documentation also. So we have more than 1,27,000 documents only on EC2. Let's say, what is image builder? You don't have any idea what is image builder. If you click on this, you will find about the information about image builder, right? So you have not to purchase any book. You have not to purchase any guide. Everything, every information you can find. Everything. This is the most latest, most updated, more precise information it will provide about a particular topic. Now we have some knowledge articles. If you want to gain some more knowledge, we have some knowledge articles. Launching EC2 instance from custom AMI. I will tell you. So I will explain you about this today. And troubleshoot EC2 instance termination as well. We have tutorials, number of tutorials. We have more than 20 tutorials on EC2. We have number of events that will happen throughout the world, whether these are online events or offline events. You can register on these events to participate, to learn more. Correct or not? So next is marketplace, what you can search or what you can purchase from AWS marketplace. Every list we have about EC2 here. So similarly, you can type anything. Let's say you are typing RDS. For example, you are typing RDS. Now it will tell you about services, feature, resources, blog, documentation, tutorials, everything about RDS now. Do you see? Right or not? So I don't think you need any book for AWS. Everything is available on this portal. Everything is available. Now, next that we are just going to choose, let's say I was talking about, first of all, the search. So you can search a number of things here. And next to the search, we have this small icon. And this small icon is Cloud Shell. Just understand. This is a Cloud Shell. What is a Cloud Shell? Cloud Shell is a terminal. Cloud Shell is what? Cloud Shell is a terminal. If you click on this Cloud Shell, you will see a new terminal is open in front of you. And you can use this terminal to take remote of Linux instances or Linux servers. So this is a terminal. And this terminal can also be used to write programs in a specific language like Python, Java, Node.js. You can use these terminals for CDK, for SAM, for SDK. These are some terms I'm actually talking about, used by developers. So this is a very important terminal for architects as well as for developers and for system administrator to manage your AWS account. And you can run AWS CLI from here, command line interface, right? sometimes we are not using console to manage AWS account. So from this terminal, we can create resources, we can manage resources through command line. Are you getting me, guys? Is it clear, everyone? What is this? This is a Cloud Shell. And the Cloud Shell terminal is a Linux terminal. Say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we are going back. Let's say the next thing is we are just going home again. Now the next thing is this small bell icon. Can you see this small bell icon? This is for notifications. If you click on this, you can find if you have any notification. If you have any open issues, if you generated a ticket, maybe you are working on some complaint, maybe you are working on some challenge, maybe you are working on some issues. So if those issues are open and still you are communicating with AWS and these issues are not yet closed, so you can find these issues under this category, open issues. Right now, we do not have any issue. Scheduled changes. If you have any scheduled changes, you can find here. Other notification. If you have any other notification, let me see, I have a notification. Let me see what is the notification. Let me see what is the notification. The notification is pertaining to, let's say, notification. Yeah, this is the description of the notification. Maybe it is generated because of S3 service and the start time was January 11. There is no specific end time is given. And this is the description of this notification. We are searching out of you to inform that starting in April 2023, Amazon S3 will change the default security configuration for all new S3 buckets. And for new buckets created after this date, S3 block public access will be enabled. Public block access means these whatever after this date, if you are creating any bucket in S3 storage space, so this is not by default allowed to public. So this is going to be a private. Okay, this is notification. Okay, and if you want to learn, if you have any question, these are the links given. Can you see 7 links are given? So if you want to understand why this change was happened, and if you want to give any feedback on this, so you can just click on feedback on this event. You can just go and just do it. So we are just going back and here again, let's say after this notification, we have support. We have support. If you click on the support, we have number of support options. Like we have a support center. If you want to create any ticket, let's say you are facing some issue, that issue can be related to your AWS account. Issue can be pertaining to billing. Issue can be related to a particular resource. Issue can be non-technical. Issue can be technical. If you are facing any issue, you will create a ticket in the support center. You have an expert help here. You will have a repost. Expert help definitely you will not get in AWS free tier account. Generally, we are getting expert help in enterprise account. And we have documentation. We already seen documentation. You click on documentation, you will have a list of documentation. You have a list of trainings. You will have getting started resource center. And if you want to give any feedback related to AWS, you can click on this send feedback and register your feedback. Next, we have this region name. Right now, at present, I'm in North Virginia, right? This is North Virginia. If you open it, you can find a long list of regions, and every region has a code. Let's say North Virginia is a US East 1, Ohio is US East 2, North California is US East 1. You have not to remember, but understand, left hand side, these are the regions, and right hand side, these are the codes of the regions. Let's say you have Mumbai. Yeah, this is Asia Pacific Mumbai. And what is the code of Mumbai? AP South 1. And one more region we have in India, Hyderabad, and it's a AP South 2. Some regions are not enabled by default in my AWS account. I didn't enable them, like Cape Town, Hong Kong, Jakarta, Milan, Spain, Zurich, Bahrain, UAE. These 8 regions are also available. If you want to enable them, you can go and click on manage region. You can enable them for your use, right? Next is right hand side on the top, you can see this is my account name, Sanjay 2023. Do you see? If you click on Sanjay 2023, very first you see my account ID, AWS account ID. This is my AWS account ID. Can you see? This is my AWS account ID, and this is a unique ID. For every account, you will have a unique ID. Next, if you want to see account information, which is it should be very secure, and it's a personal, so you should not make it public. Now we have an organization. Organization is a service which can consolidate multiple AWS accounts. What happen in companies actually, in big companies, I'm talking about big companies, or I'm talking about a kind of a project where you are using multiple AWS account. And if you have multiple AWS account and you want to make a group of those AWS account, you want to consolidate them. Maybe you want to pay their charges from one account in one go for multiple AWS account. In that case, you will choose organization service. Next is service quota. Every service will have quota. You go and click on service quota. Let's say I'm just clicking on this. You can see quota of services. This is a dashboard. So Athena has total quota 5. DynamoDB has total quota 9. And Elastic Block Store has quota, for example, 40. And we have Elastic Compute Service. Quota is 140. What is quota is 140? Just click on this. It will tell you in detail. Do you have quota? Yeah, these are the quotas. These are the quotas. Right now, you will not understand, but everything is defined in quota. You cannot go beyond by default. But this is a quota. This is not an ultimate limit. Means this quota can be increased if you need more resources. Right? Correct or not? Next is, let's say after this, we have a billing dashboard. Let's say click on a billing dashboard. You will find each and every information about your billing. So up till now, my current month charges are $0.45, and total number of active servers in my accounts are 14. I have 14 servers, active servers, and the total charges is less than $1, right? And the total number of active AWS account is only 1. I have only 1 AWS account under this name, under this billing name. And if you scroll down, you can see account cost trend, the cost trend by top 5 services. If you are consuming any services, right now I'm not consuming any service. So that's why I'm not able to see anything here, because my charges is less than $1. Left hand side, if you see billing, this is the bill, right? You have the bill. December bill. So you have 49 rupees December bill. And you see January bill is up till now only 13 rupees. Can you see? You can have payment system here. So if you want to pay, I have one payment past due. To avoid suspension, you have to pay. So you have to pay 49 rupees 64 paisa as early as possible to AWS. This is my last month bill. Credits. If you have any credits, you can use that credit to pay bills. So generally in free tier account, you will not have any credits. Purchase orders. Do you have any purchase? Do you want to purchase something in advance? Do you want to purchase for reserved instances or dedicated instances? In that case, you can use the purchase order, right? You can create. So number of things are there. Right now, I'm not talking about this billing option. So go here back, and you had the billing security credentials also is there, which is a part of IAM service. And if you want to sign out, you can just click on sign out. So this was you have. So everything is there in this single black strip. And these are the recently visited services by you. All these are recently used services used by you. And these are the some widgets like AWS Health, cost and usage, and build a solution. So these are few things, right? Means AWS providing you. Means start migration to AWS. This is a 2 minute. Let's say somebody has no idea how to migrate on AWS. Or let's say somebody has no idea how to launch a virtual machine. So this is a 2 minute documentation. If you click on this, it will give you a complete detail about launching an instance, right? So you land on that page. You will land on that page. Let's say you have one more thing. I was telling you, start migrating to AWS. So you will go to MGN. MGN is a service, migration service. So you can start migrating your server from your on-prem environment. But in order to run this migration service, your data center must be connected with your AWS account. Then only migration will happen. Right? Correct or not? And it's a paid service. So you are just going back. Everything is given here. So right now it's a new thing. So you need to explore about training. You need to explore about certification. You need to explore about free digital training. You need to explore about certification. Everything is given here, right? So this was your first page. And this first page is known as console home. Now I'm just going to teach you about how to launch an instance in AWS. This is my blog. If you want to read, this is the link I'm sharing you. You can go and read it. This is about EC2 instance purchase option. Yesterday, I just wrote this blog. Okay, guys. Now, the next topic that we have to see, launching first EC2 instance. So just very clearly, I'm telling you, just listen me very clearly. I'm not teaching about any service right now. I'm not gonna to right now. I'm not teaching any concept. I'm just teaching you how to install, how to launch your virtual machine in console home or in AWS, right? So you will use EC2 service to launch instance. EC2 is a elastic compute cloud service, and you will use this service to launch instance. Instance, whenever I say instance, instance means a virtual machine, because you can only create virtual machine. You don't have any provision to create any physical machine, because this is a cloud computing environment. So, do you see this simple diagram? This is the diagram. In this diagram, I'm just using how to launch EC2 instance. EC2 instance means virtual machine. And this is a server that I'm just going to launch. And this server has 5 components. So if you launch any machine in AWS, that machine will have 5 components. The first is AMI. The first is AMI. AMI is a image of an operating system, right? What is AMI is? AMI is an image of operating system. Means we cannot use ISO images here. Generally, you use ISO images to install operating system on a new server. But in AWS, we never use ISO images. We always use AMIs. And full form of AMI is Amazon Machine Image. And what is the Amazon Machine Image? It's a template of an operating system. It's an image of an operating system. So I will teach you about all these things in detail. But for now, you should understand we need an image to launch your instance or to launch virtual machine. Second component of this machine is configuration. Means every machine that you will create, whether it is a physical or it's a virtual, that machine will have some configuration. That configuration will be in terms of a virtual CPU and RAM. Means you have to declare how many or how much virtual CPU or how much RAM you are going to take to launch this machine. And this virtual machine configuration has a name, and that is called instance type. We call it as an instance type. When I say instance type, it's mean I'm talking about configuration of virtual machine. And here we are taking instance type T2.micro. If you are selecting T2.micro, only one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM you will get. And this is a free resource in AWS free tier account. And you have to use only T2.micro, right? If you are taking T2.micro, it means you're getting free machines here. Yeah. So guys, T2.micro is a instance type of your virtual machine, and you are getting one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM in this. And this resource is free of cost available. And one more thing I need to add here, if you are creating any virtual machine, so that virtual machine you can run 750 hours per month free of cost. Okay. So you have total 750 hours per month to run your machine, whether you're running a one machine or whether you're running a two machines. Okay. This is the total 750 hours you're getting. So what is the meaning of 750 hours? See, just understand. So what you're getting free of cost in AWS free tier account. So total 750 hours per month free of cost you are getting in EC2 service using T2.micro instance, and EBS volume must be less than or equal to or less than 30 GB. What is the EBS volume? EBS volume is just like a hard disk, just like HDD. But EBS volume is our SSD volumes. These are very, very high speed volumes. And you can consider this a hard disk of this virtual machine where you will launch operating system. Because in order to launch operating system, you must have one block device. You must have some hard disk. So we are using a block storage here. This block storage is known as EBS. EBS stand for Elastic Block Store. In this particular EBS volume, you will launch operating system. This is the third component. And the fourth component, which is extremely important, called external firewall that you will connect with this server to filter incoming and outgoing traffic. So whatever the traffic is going out or whatever the traffic is coming in from outside, you can filter it from external firewall. So we call it as security group. What we call it as security group, right? And fifth component of this machine or EC2 instance is private key, because you are not using any password to take the remote of this machine, because the passwords are vulnerable. Passwords can be copied very easily, right? You can mitigate password very easily. So it's better to have a private key. So private key is a part of cryptography. If you have the private key of the machine, then only you can take a remote of this machine. If you don't have this key, you cannot take remote of this machine. This is very, very important. And we have various methods to take the remote of this machine. You have AWS Connect, you have Cloud Shell, you can also use Windows CLI or PowerShell. You can use tools like Putty or Mobextum to take the remote of this machine. So we have various methods to take the remote of this machine. So guys, I'm just going to tell you how to launch this instance, right? How to launch this virtual machine in your AWS. So this is a just simple hands-on. I didn't start anything, because what I have to do once it is done, once the launching of instance is done, I will talk about how to take the remote of this instance using various methods and how to launch how to launch Windows machine, and then we'll talk about virtualization, virtual machine, containerization, and container versus virtual machine, and data center virtualization. And then we'll talk about AWS global infrastructure. And then we'll talk about the list of services we will study in this course. And then we will start the first service, EC2. So it's a long journey. Abhi to bahut baki hai. Now I'm here right now. So launching first EC2 instance. And this is my diagram. And I did write everything. And one more thing, at the end of this session, at the end of this class, I will share the link of this PDF file. I will share the link of Google Drive, and I will upload this document in my Google Drive, and I'll share that link of Google Drive so that you can also download and access it. So here we go. And let's say I'm in AWS Management Console. Here we go. This is my AWS Management Console. So because I have to create a virtual machine, and to create a virtual machine, I will write EC2 here. EC2 is a service name. EC2 stand for Elastic Compute Cloud. And just click on EC2, right? So this is your EC2 dashboard. So left hand side, you see this is a navigation pane. Can you see? This is the navigation pane. So under instances, first option is instances. You will click on this instances. You see we have 3 servers here. We have 3 instances, but all these 3 instances are stopped instances. So none of them are running. All these are stopped instances. Let's say I'm deleting these 2 instances. Let's say I don't need these instances. You will go to instance state and I'm terminating. Terminating means I'm deleting these machines. So these machines are being deleted, terminating. Okay. But I have to create a new machine, right? So if you click on, do you see this orange color button right hand side on the top? Click on launch instances. As you click on launch instances, so this screen will appear and it will ask for the name and tags first of all. So what name? Let's say my demo instance. For example, this is my demo instance. And if you scroll down, it will ask you to select an image. Image means template of operating system or image of operating system. Which image you are using? You are using Windows image, you are going to use a Linux image. And if you are going to use a Linux image, which Linux? Because we have various Linuxes. Amazon Linux is there, SUSE Linux is there, CentOS Linux is there, Red Hat Linux is there, we have Fedora Linux is there. We have so many Linuxes, right? But I'm choosing Amazon Linux here. Do you see the very first thing? So I'm using Amazon Linux here. So if you click on this and you go down, the second is instance type. What is the instance type? According to this, I told you, instance type is a configuration of your virtual machine. So I'm going to select T2.micro because this is available free of cost. If you select T2.micro, you will get one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM. So here we already have a T2.micro. Can you see? But if you expand it, you have various number of configurations. More than 400 configurations are there. Please do not select these because these are very expensive. So I'm okay with T2.micro. In T2.micro, I'm getting one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM and very clearly written, this is a free tier eligible. This is available free of cost, right? Now, little down, you need to declare a key for this instance. Either you can use a existing key, and if you don't have existing key, you can also create a new key pair. So I'm going to create a new key pair and write the name of the new key pair. Let's say I'm writing a new key 13th, or it's a 14th, sorry, 14th Jan 2023. Great. And simply click on create key. The key has been created and it has been downloaded. If you see in the folder, you're going to see this has been downloaded in your machine, in your host machine, in your laptop. You have to keep this key in very safe place because this is a private key of this instance. So you downloaded successfully private key of this instance. So you have the key here. Go down. I'm not making any changes in the network setting. Let it be as it is. I'm just demonstrating how to launch instance. Each and everything I will explain later in my EC2 service because AMI is a big topic, right? Even instance type also is a big topic. Even network also is a big topic. So, and if you just go down in security group is what? Security group is a firewall which is connected with this instance, with this virtual machine. Without firewall, you cannot launch your instance. And if you go down, by default, SSH port is allowed from anywhere. Why SSH? SSH means secure shell, which uses port number 22. And SSH should be open to take remote of this machine from the internet because ultimately you are creating this machine in AWS cloud platform. And if you want to take remote of this machine must have SSH allowed. And second is, this is a configure storage. Storage means your EBS volume, which is a kind of a hard disk. And automatically 8 GB space is taken. You will say, don't 8 GB is a very small space? I will say because you are using Linux operating system to launch, right? You are going to launch a Linux operating system. And for Linux operating system, 8 GB is more than sufficient. But in some cases, because you are using free tier account, maximum 30 GB EBS volume you can take free of cost. right? Every volume. You can have multiple EBS volume even on one instance, but it should not be more than 30 GB if you do not want to pay. But the ultimate sizes can reach up to 16 TB. And this is a SSD volume. Just understand, this is not a HDD volume. And go down, right hand side, bottom, you can see launch instance option in orange color. You click on this, and this instance is going to be launched. And if you scroll down, there is a button view all instances. You click on view all instances, and this is the instance we have. What is the instance? Where is the instance? This is the instance. This is the pending instance. You can go here in the instance state. Let's say you are looking for instance equal to, let's say, running. You will have a running instance. And you can't believe, within a minute, I was saying the deployment speed is very, very fast. And within a minute, this machine has been started. This machine is prepared. This machine has been provisioned in a less than 1 minute with a minimum resource. And what was the resource? Only one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM. And with one virtual CPU and 1 GB RAM, less than a minute, this machine has been started. This machine is running. Now this machine is available. So what you have to do, you will just click on, do you see? Select the machine first of all. The easiest way I'm telling you how to take remote of this machine. The easiest way I'm telling you. You first select the instance here, go to connect here. Do you see this connect button? You click on connect button. And this is the public IP address of the machine. This machine has both IP addresses, public and private. So public IP address you will use to take the remote of this machine from the internet. And this is a EC2 user. I didn't give any username, but this username was in AMI, Amazon Machine Image. It was in template of the virtual machine. So let it be as it is. We have not to make any changes. You just click on connect. You will click on connect and the machine is going to be connected. This is the simplest way I'm telling you how to create and connect your machine. Did you see that? You connected the machine, you click here and you connected the machine, right? Go to instances again. If you do not want to use this machine anymore, let's say I'm not using this machine. So why should I let it run? I will stop this machine. I will select the machine and go to the instance and I will stop the machine. So tomorrow I will talk about the various method. Let's say what is a cloud shell, how you can take a remote of the machine through the cloud shell, how you can take remote of the machine through Mobex term, how you can take remote of this machine using PuTTY, and how you can take remote of this machine by CMD, Windows CMD or Windows PowerShell, right? And then we will start virtualization. Then I will take a new topic, virtualization. First of all, I will take this topic, how to take remote of this machine, then virtualization, containerization, then global infrastructure. I hope we can complete all these topics tomorrow. And after that, we will start number of services. So I will pick first service, EC2, because EC2 has multiple components and we will learn about those components one by one, right? So I'm just going to, first of all, share. Where should I share? This is a networking new folder. And today is 14th Jan 2023 weekend. Yeah, definitely, Swapnil. You people are allowed to speak. If you have a question, you're most welcome. What is your question?
Hello.
Hello, Swapnil.
Yeah, hi sir. Actually, I have some questions related to the course. Can I ask?
Yeah, definitely.
Actually, sir, I'm working in a IT company. So our company is forcing us to do the AWS Solution Architect certification. So that's why we are joining this course. So can we get like certification related training, like what type of question will come in exam,
In the
how to crack
beginning,
that?
yeah. In the beginning, let's see, I'm talking about, I can definitely tell you. You can read dumps and you can give the exam. Without knowledge, you can pass the exam. Is it really possible?
No.
No.
Not
See,
now, like means this training is for
yeah,
like
this
what
training
type of
is, yeah.
interview training or certification
So,
training, I just
see,
want to.
listen me. This training is designed specifically for AWS or cloud professionals in order to clear AWS certification examination. And you, after this certification, you will be able to face interviews as well, right? The only thing I need from your side, attention. You must be aware what I'm just teaching you, and you must attend all these classes efficiently. And this training is a very specific for certification and to grab some job in the industry. Acha,
Yeah,
whatever I taught you today, so is it clear, everyone?
yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
It is clear, na?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Folder I'm creating for you. New folder. Let's say 14th January NK weekend. 14th 2023. Great. This is done. And I'm going to upload what I taught you today. Here we go. I'm going to share the link. You please have the link on this meeting chat. Copy the link from the meeting chat. Yeah. Uh, who is iPhone? What's your name, dear? Somebody is raising question. Could you please send me video
Uh,
record? What's your name?
Hi, how are you, sir? My name is Tohidur Rahman.
Okay. So see, I think you took admission in networkings. Am I correct?
No, this I did admission this AWS and Azure.
No, no.
104.
Okay. So you will have a portal access, right? You
Yes.
can you can talk to our team. You can talk to networkings, and they will provide you LMS link. And
Okay.
on those LMS, after every class, you will have a recorded session. So you
Okay.
can access the recorded session. By default, we record the sessions on our LMS.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it will be updated in the portal.
Sir, Varun, Varun this side.
Yeah, Varun, tell me.
Yeah. Sir, going forward, you will be taking the classes, sir, because previously Anup sir was taking that session.
Anup sir was taking. So I hope
Yeah.
I will take classes.
Okay, yes.
Is that clear? So
Yes, yeah.
how was the class today?
It was very good, sir. It was,
It's okay. No issue. I will take. Right?
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, dear. Okay, dear. Thank you.